and I'm the one who runs the channel, and I live in Israel in the Galilee. Today's the 31st of July under the Gregorian Pope Gregory calendar, and it's 9:23 in the morning. I don't use the rabbinical Talmudic calendar. It's ridiculous. In Hebrew, the days of the week don't have names except one, Yom Shabbat. Yom means day, day of Shabbat. The others have numbers. And the months don't have names. The first month really isn't called Abib. Abib is something that happens in the first month, the barley's Abib. So we really don't have these names. They picked these names up in Babylon from the ungodly that worship the gods of the dead. And like one of the months is Nisan. You ever see the car with the horns on it? Come on, it's pretty obvious. Hang on a second, maybe I can make a more graphic point there. They may have changed the logo. Let's see. Maybe I'm confusing it with Toyota, but I could be. Let's see, maybe I did get confused. Yeah, it's Toyota. You could see the horns, the logo, Toyota. So, anyway, no car companies owned by non-Espots, rest assured. And if they using the name of one of the cars after one of the Hebrew months, you could rest assured it's not a legitimate Hebrew month. Okay. Let's do our praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. Let me, while we're waiting for people to come in, let me go do a little housekeeping in the chat. People to come in, let me go do a little housekeeping in the chat. Okay, we got sound and picture. Let me do a couple of things real quick. Okay, something's not. There it goes. Something's not right here. They may have changed the chat or they messed something up on me. It used to say top messages in the chat and then all messages. And I got it. I had to hit the right button. Okay. We'll see what goes on. So I put offering information up there, which is the very old, many years old GoFundMe campaign. And then I also have offering information in the description box under the video with GoFundMe and Patreon working links, and my email address is in the chat also highlighted in yellow. Israel Giving with the number 7, Israel Giving, one word, with the digit 7 at the end at gmail.com. Okay. I'm trying to think of ways that we can really impact the world, seriously. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking at what the churchianity people do, and I came up with something that is sinful that they're doing, that I wasn't totally aware of, and that's this house of prayer thing. Remember when Yeshua said, my Father's house should be a house of prayer, when he was chasing the money changers with the rope or the whip or whatever he was hitting them with, right? Okay, now, you saw Yeshua get mad when he was in the flesh, but that's nothing compared to when the risen, glorified Yeshua gets mad. I've never seen him that way, but that I can. But moving along. So they do the house of prayer. So I'm saying, well, I got this guest house. It's not really doing well. And I could have people come and stay in the guest house, and we could do a house of prayer here in Israel and the Galilee, and people would probably have a good time. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know about that. The people could be praying the same way, Then I started thinking about doing Zoom meetings where there could be interaction. And there's a number of problems with that, okay? Number one, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to control the S-bots. I got rid of a lot of them from Telegram and a lot of my places. I don't focus heavily on them on Twitter because I really don't care, and I don't focus very heavily with them on the website because it's just a website out there. I'm not that worried about that. I worry about interactions on Telegram, so I try to keep everybody, from getting solicited by other S-bots, and I worry a little bit about YouTube with the chat. Not heavily, but it concerns me, But I can police that rather easily, and I do. When they come in and start spreading false doctrine and stuff, I take care of it, Okay. The S-bots can come and sit and listen to me till the cows come home, and then they could even sit and listen to me till the cow jumps over the moon, which is never going to happen. But they're never going to get it, okay? They can talk to me, ask me questions, but they're never going to get it, okay? They don't have the Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, and it's never going to work for them, okay? They can read the Bible, listen to me. It doesn't do them any good. They think they have it. They don't. Okay. It's hard enough for a real believer with the Holy Spirit to grasp the whole picture. For them, I would say it's impossible. Does Satan and the unclean spirits know some stuff? Well, remember the scripture, it said if they knew what they were doing, they never would have killed Yeshua. So they don't know stuff. All right? So don't think they do, they don't. Could they listen to me and learn things? No, they don't have the Holy Spirit, and they're not the same as they were when they're in heaven. They may have some memory recollection of things, but you know, the scripture says that they learned the worthless things, you know, with their witchcraft and sorcery, but they don't have anything real, and they don't. That's Satan's power really is coming from people. Okay, let me see if I can tilt this brim a little bit more. This is an old antique cat that probably goes back to the 50s or 60s. It's one of the better ones that resist all ever made, so it's easy to manipulate. Not like the new ones are generally stiff as a board, but a lot of the people in America like that. I don't. I mean, I tolerate it. I have some, but I first started getting hats, seriously getting hats, around 2007, I think. Could be 8, but probably 2007. Anyway, let's get back into it. So I'm sitting there thinking, how can I really, you know, dig in and create or help people be serious spiritual warriors? I mean, serious, real serious. Okay. And some of you already are. Okay. And I've been doing this a long time. I started in around 1994. And I was teaching it on the internet by 95, 96, someplace in there. And I didn't know as much as I do now, but I knew quite a bit. All right. And I've learned different things, and I've noticed my effectiveness increasing. And I do notice the results. Now, you know, you can't, like, to use it on a simplistic basis, toss somebody, you know, and then stare at them for a reaction, because they've learned to conceal the reaction. Okay, they know that. Probably most of them do, or a lot of them that are going to come in contact with believers do. Now, people that are working in the secular world that are you know, packing gods of the dead in them, you know, they're not going to be prepared for your actions, and they will probably show reactions, and that's. Well, we don't want to run around doing reactions, and we're looking for reactions as a confirmation, because that's not faith. Okay, faith is what's going to get the mountain to jump up, get it to come up and go flying in the sea. Okay. Yeshua cursed the tree, so to speak. It said, "Bear no more good fruit," or "bear no," and it shriveled up and stuff like that. All right. So that was pretty quick when that happened. Okay. Now, I would also have to include healing in this to some extent, but I'm not going to put an emphasis on that. And with spiritual warfare comes prayer warfare. But what I'm going to start telling you what I'm planning on doing, I haven't executed, but I'm going to wait for response and see if I execute or not, depending on you all's response. I have this guest house. It has 2, I think that one's a king bed and one's a queen bed. One has my old mattress that I paid 5,000 shekels for, which was, you know, a lot of money. I don't know. It was probably around $1,400. It's a heck of a good mattress. And the other one has another. It has the special foam and everything. And the other mattress is not as expensive, but it's a really good orthopedic mattress, and I think it's a queen. So one, I believe, is a king, one's a queen. Okay, so it can handle 2 bedrooms. I have a cot bed I can put in the little living room, and then we start getting into a loss of privacy. Okay? Now, the apartment has 3 air conditioners, so 1 in each bedroom. That's a small one, like in the office, but it'll freeze you out, and a large one in the living room. Now, to cool the kitchen, you use one of the air conditioner from the bedroom that has a door that dumps into the kitchen, and it'll cool it. You just put it on, and you probably have to wait 20-30 minutes, and it'll cool it. It'll cool it fine. And, you run all 3 air conditioners. I don't care if it's 104, 106 degrees outside. You're going to be very comfortable in that place. Now, if it's cold outside, you just take the air conditioners and you switch them with the remote. I'd have to show you to get to heater, and they become heaters. Okay? So you wouldn't be in the cool weather. You wouldn't be cold, and you wouldn't be hot in the heat. It has it's like 2 bathrooms. One bathroom has the sink and a toilet, and the other bathroom has no toilet. It has a sink and mirrors and a shower stall, a pretty good sized shower stall. I never showered in there, but I stood in it. It's a good sized one. It's like a nice one on a cruise ship. It's a small shower stall. It's not for, if I went in there and was trying to wash a big dog, it'd be tight. But for one person, it's fine, And so that means somebody could be showering, another person could go to the toilet. All right. So what I am thinking of doing, because everybody loves the spiritual warfare. There's a time and a place for everything. This isn't the right place. The Telegram is a good place, but most people don't want to go to Telegram. Twitter, I don't know. Twitter might be the right place for that too. I have to check it out. I'll try some stuff too. Twitter doesn't have a lot of the problems you get like on Facebook and stuff like that, if you know my drift. Okay, moving along. So what I'm thinking of doing is running a spiritual warfare training course or school or whatever at the guest house here in Israel in the Galilee. Okay? Now, I'm not just going to sit and teach spiritual warfare. Of course I will do that. And I will pour it out. And you'll have question and answer time with me. But more importantly, we will actually do spiritual warfare. With 2 or more gathered in my name, there I am with them. And we will be agreeing on the spiritual warfare. You understand this? It's going to be way more powerful than what's going on now. And we're going to topple the big boys, the big stuff. Okay? I'm not going after some satanic rock group, okay? Although we could, but what? Wasting our time. I'm going after, what I'm going after, the big fish. And it doesn't take a lot of people. Now, if we're getting, let's say, single people, I don't know how you guys would want to share a bed. I mean, we've had women do that. I have no idea about how that would work. So I don't know how many people I could take in, okay? I don't. Yes.
I'm going to go get the alignment.
Oh, okay. You found the guy?
Well, I know who to go. You want to do the thing we put off last night today?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to you later when you get back. Okay. So, we had to change the cars, and this car's not aligned, so she's got to get the alignment on the front wheels. I don't know what that'll cost. Probably not a lot. The tires didn't come out that expensive either. I think we spent about $150 on the 2 tires. I don't know how good those tires are. I don't, I really prefer Pirelli and then Michelin. I don't like Dunlop, but I don't know what that would cost here. Pirelli tires are wonderful. I used to put them on my exotic cars when I was in the world. They're great. They don't last long, but they're in the rain. Oh man, you can't beat them. Number two is Michelin. Dunlop, some of their tires are good. Most are not so good. You know, they're kind of. I bought in the '70s. I bought a Porsche 911S, and it came with Dunlop tires, and they were really, they were rated for like 135 miles an hour and stuff, which was a lot back then, and they were no good. I mean, I didn't like them; they were crap, and it ruined the whole car, basically. And I should have swapped them for Pirellis, but I didn't think of it. Messed that one up. But in the future, when I got the exotic cars, I really tried to get Pirellis whenever I could. They're great cars. Tires. And the Michelins are not as good, but they're pretty good, you know. So, anyway, um, moving along. If you just got a regular SUV and you're not doing anything stupid, you can get regular tires. I don't know what kind of tires we got here. They probably were. I'm going to guess, where did they get made? I don't know. Italy or some cheap European country or something like that, because they were pretty low price for Israel. So, okay. So, I would not be charging for the guest house. In other words, there's no guest house. I have to cover expenses in the guest house. So, what are expenses? It costs about, I'm going to figure, for people in there a week to get it cleaned back to snuff where you could rent it out. I'm thinking it's going to be over $100. It's for the maid, the lady that cleans it. It's probably going to be $150 to get that cleaned, because she has to clean the shower, get all the soap scum and everything out, the soap dishes, the sink, and she's got to clean the toilet, the bathroom, do the mirrors, get the bathroom spick and span. Then she has to go in the kitchen. She's got to clean the freezer, make sure it doesn't have, if it needs defrosting, wipe all the shelves and the door and everything down. She's got to clean the microwave out, got to clean the convection oven out, got to clean the burners on the stove. Got to make sure all the pots and the pans are scoured clean so the next people can cook in them. And clean all the dishes. And there's no dishwasher in there, so she's got to manually do all that. Clean the sink, which is made out of some kind of marble, which is not that hard. Then she's got to clean the bedrooms. She's got to clean the mirrors and the walls and mop the floors. And then she's got to break the beds down, and she's got to wash the sheets and the pillowcases. She's got to wash and dry and fold the towels. She has to, that's for 2 bedrooms, and she has to clean the living room and clean all that up. And then she has to clean the patio, which is where we would hang out. It's a large patio on the roof, probably 25, 30 feet by 15 feet wide, with the bird aviary there. And then there's the rest of the patio that needs to be looked after. But there's probably not much to do there. So she's got to clean the furniture in the patio. It has seating for probably 20 people. And there's some tables and chairs she has to wipe down and hose it off. And so that's going to take her a good part of the day, it's going to probably take 5 or 6 hours to get it right, okay? Maybe 4, I don't know. Okay, so that's a large amount of work. Now, in Israel, we got to pay for water. So I'm having people, in there taking showers, washing, all that. So the water bill's going to go up, okay? We got electric, and running 3 air conditioners as air conditioners or heaters is going to cost good money. In Israel, it's not cheap. Okay, now in the warm weather, we get the hot water heater, works for free, it's solar. But in the winter, you gotta use the electric heater, and that's ghastly expensive. So, you got 4 people showering, washing their hands, cooking. It's gonna run up. Okay, so I'm thinking if I would budget $100 a day, it would cover the cleaning of the place at the end of the week. It would cover all the air conditioning, electric, and the water, and all that stuff. That's what I'm thinking it will cost. The air conditioning could be very costly, okay? And we gotta pay for water and all that. So I'm thinking, I wanna cover myself, because, we're not. So I think with all the damage, 700 would do it. 100 a day would cover everything. I'm not going to the bank there with that. It may be a little left over, but I don't know what we're gonna run into with wear and tear and breakages and what has to get fixed. So also you have internet. There's high-speed internet, 500 mega internet. So that's the download. The upload is probably comes in at 7 to 9. So you got in any event, you've got great internet, really good internet. And the internet works outside on the patio, and it works in the front yard, so you can use it sitting outside. Okay, most people like to go have breakfast outside on the patio in the morning, and the birds are talking in the morning, and there's not just our African gray talking birds, there's birds all over the place because of the yard and the garden. So you got all kinds of birds around. Nice birds, not jackass birds, friendly, nice, wild birds. And, you can go to the organic garden and take a couple of pieces of fruit here and there. You can't strip us down. You can't stockpile, if you want to grab something and it's in season. There's no problem with that. So that would have to, maybe I'm not going to spend 700, maybe I'd spend 500 or something. Or I don't know what, but I'm just trying to cushion myself so I don't get slammed, okay? So I think 100 a day would do it. Now you'd have to buy your own food. There's 2 ways you can do that. I can order food from the supermarket before you come, and then you can pay me when it gets here. We can break the price down, okay? And I could put it in the fridge and the freezer, so when you get here you have food. Or we can go to the market. It's a small market near here, but it's a high-end market. Like, we used to see these in New York City, like on Park Avenue, little markets that sell quality food. It's bigger than those would be, but what do they have is they got really good fresh fruit and vegetables, limited selection, but what they have is good. They got a fantastic selection of all kinds of breads and rolls, great selection. 3 big freezers full of ice cream and ices and stuff like that, if you like those kind of carbs. It has paper plates and cups, disposable, which is a good idea to have. I can put some in there to get you started. And we got real cups and real plates, and real silverware, and real knives, and real pots and pans there to cook with. It's a 2-burner electric cooker. It's a hot plate, and it has a fantastic, very good convection oven. We bought it for us, and there's no room in our kitchen, so we put it in there. It's an excellent cooking thing. It really is. And it has a small microwave that does the job adequately. And it has a full-size refrigerator, but it's a small one, like in America people had in the 1950s and the 40s and 50s. It's not a huge refrigerator, but it's full-size. It comes up about here, what I mean. So it's got a freezer, it's got shelves, it's got a fruit bin, I believe, I think, and shelves in the door. It's fine, So you could go to the supermarket, the little supermarket here. They got tons of yogurt, tons of cheeses, frozen dishes, frozen pizzas. They got sodas, juices galore. they sell beer and liquor and wine. Now, I don't care if you guys like to drink. I care if you like to get drunk. Okay? So if somebody really enjoys in the evening after dinner sitting around and having glasses of wine, we know plenty of believers in Israel that do that. Okay? And I could care less about that. You want to do it, do it. If you want to go get blotto drunk, this is the wrong place. No way. Just want to have some wine and, you know, one or two glasses or something. That's fine with me. If you like drinking a beer, you know, there's wonderful beer in Israel. I don't like it myself. It's all carbo loaded and all that. But you can, you know, Maccabi beer, Israeli beer is excellent. There's all kinds of beers. Hard liquor, I don't see why anybody would be using that. You know, that doesn't sound right. You're not about to perish, so, you know, if anybody wants to smoke, I don't care, smoke away from the birds outside. Don't smoke in the house. The house is no smoking zone. Outside, I don't care. There's no prohibition against smoking, shockingly. There's no scripture that says you can't smoke. It's not in the Bible. So what am I supposed to do? You know, we, in terms of clean and unclean food, you're not going to be able to buy unclean food around here in Israel. So forget that. In terms of getting delivered food, which you might not want to be bothered cooking. Okay. There's a walking distance pizza guy here that pizza is adequate, and it's very reasonable. A big pie is 50 shekels, which is less than 70 shekels is $20, so it's 50 shekels, so I don't know, $16, $17 for a really big pizza. I think it's 8 slices. It's a big thing. And he has other specialty things where he puts cheese in the crust, lots of cheese and stuff. I don't know, he sells it for about the same thing. It's a little smaller. It's not so bad. You go up there and you wait for it. They're friendly people. They're Yemenite Jews, and I think it's a guy and a daughter, or a guy and somebody he hired. I don't know what the deal is, but it's not bad. He's right next door to the restaurant. Now, there's a pizza guy in the village that delivers that has superb pizza. It's exactly like New York Sicilian pizza. You got to order it with extra cheese to get it to work right, but it's fantastic. It's absolutely great. And he's more money. So if you get it with mushrooms, well, I usually get it with onions, betzal, and zatim, and olives. And he delivers it for, I don't know, 62, 65 shekels, and give him a tip. So it comes to about $20. It's maybe a little bit larger than the other guy's pizza. It's 8 slices. 2 slices would fill an adult up. They're big slices. 3 will give you a carb overload. If you like that, then go for it, you know. 4 is, you're in Porky Pig's pen now, you know. I mean, you're really stuffing your face, you know. There's expensive hamburger place that has pretty good quality hamburgers that delivers. They're big hamburgers, they're good hamburgers, and it could take 20 minutes to get here, or an hour to get here, or an hour and 15 minutes. They have Philly steak heroes, good salads with meat, like barbecue chicken, spicy hot wings that are microwaved, but they're kind of okay. And it has schnitzel, which is like a breaded chicken flat thing, kind of like a, what do they call it, chicken fried steak or something, kind of like that, not exactly. And French fries and onion rings and sweet potato fries, and it comes to a good amount of money. For 2 people, if you're hungry, big burgers, fries, and a soda for 2 will easily hit $50. okay? Easily $50, $60. Let me think. Yeah, it'll hit $50. So it's expensive, okay? Everything in Israel is expensive, everything. But it's high quality, okay? Then there's a Chinese guy that's really fusion. It's Chinese, Thai, and Japanese. And they deliver. And their food is quite good. It doesn't taste anything like the Chinese food I know around the world, but they make their own noodles, a big thick round noodle, and you could get it. You know, they got all the, you know, it's pretty good. It'll run about $50. If I buy a few dishes, it'll come to about $50, $65, but I could eat it myself for 3 days, 4 days. So, you know, that would feed 4 people probably. So it's much more reasonable. It's like half the price. And it's good. It's sweet. Most of the stuff is sweet, but it's good. Okay. That's all I know about in delivery. Okay. So if you want to come here and go on a culinary gallivant, you can. Somebody would have to rent a car. And there's a lot of restaurants very close by. You can get very good food. You can get St. Peter's fish from the Sea of Galilee. You can get non-rabbinical kosher steaks. You could get lots of things. There's stuff to get. You can go to the Arab restaurants. They have, if tensions are not high. So, okay, but it's not a culinary matter, and it's not, you know, you could walk. A lot of people that stay here get up in the morning and they walk, I know it's 10-15 minute walk, to an overlook of the Sea of Galilee, and they bring a coffee cup with them. They sit down, drink coffee, pray. You oversee the whole Sea of Galilee. You see Jordan. You see lots of kibbutz. You're about 600 feet over the Sea of Galilee. There's rocks you can sit on and stuff like that. So people like to do that. And it's a small village without sidewalks, and there's not really much to do here at all, except that, which is a lot. And this is probably where Yeshua and the apostles wandered around. Okay. So when the weather allows, we could sit outside under the covered patio, or we could sit under the olive tree. We've got a huge olive tree on the property with furniture under it. You could sit there. Or if the weather's not good, we could sit inside the living room of my house, or the living room of the guest house, and we could do it there. But sitting outside, we have fans and stuff like that, so it just depends. But this is not just teaching, it's practical application. And I think we could change the world significantly, because when 2 or more are gathered together, there I am in their midst. And when 2 agree, okay, so yeah, we could agree on the internet and all that stuff, but I don't think it's the same thing as when 2 or more are gathered together, there I am with them. So I think our spiritual warfare would be way more powerful. Now let's talk about false believers. I promise, and I've checked with my father, any false believer that tries to get in this thing will be the worst mistake of their life. The absolute worst mistake of their life, here and now, while they're walking around above earth, and for eternity. It will be horrible for them. Okay? It will be the worst thing they ever did. They will not last. They will pull out. I will see to it. Okay? I will ask everybody to affirm to me they're a true believer, not a Satan bot, and all that stuff. So when they come here, it's on them, and I will dump on them with everything I have, holding not back. I will not just do spiritual warfare against their unclean spirits. I will go to my Father and ask him to curse those that curse us. I promise you, if any of them gets in, they will not stay. They will pull away. I have seen this happen with people my wife's brought in for different readings and things like that. They will go sooner than later. See, they try to mess up where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am with them, amongst them. Okay, they try to mess that up by fellowshipping with us and trying to agree with us in prayer and other things, and stop. How can two walk together unless they're agreed? And they try to stop the agreement and having Yeshua amongst us. That's why there are no real congregations or churches, okay? Will the Lord honor us and bless us with signs following? I can't guarantee that. What is my hunch? Yes. What they would be, I don't know. But I believe they would be there. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this since 94, let's see, almost 30 years. And here's Moshe, like that old awful movie that Jack Nicholson did where he played a crazy guy. Here's Johnny. Well, here's Moshe, the crazy, Kohanim with the Holy Spirit living in the Galilee, okay? And he's still here all these years. And I have tormented and punished the unclean spirits and gone after them relentlessly over and over and over again. And here I am, okay? They will not make it. This will be the worst mistake they ever made. The worst mistake they ever made. And the same for everyone that conspires with them and helps them and assists them. It'll be the worst mistake they ever made. I will not tolerate this. I know what I'm talking about from experience here. They will not stay. Okay? You don't have to worry about that. Now, if I start doing Zoom meetings, it's not the same thing. Okay? And I will do spiritual warfare corporately against every person that steps foot on this property. Before they come and while they're here. It's just not going to happen. I will not let it get defeated, okay? And this is probably the worst thing that happened to Satan in 2,000 years. Okay? Or roughly that. Since the apostles were opened up and the congregations were flourishing. I would say since then. This will be the worst thing for him. The worst. And we will reach out. I don't think we're going to waste a lot of time with Antarctica, but the other continents. Maybe we'll do Antarctica for grins and giggles, but we're going to really topple them. Okay? And yeah, there'll be Bible studies. If you want to have Bible studies, we can do that. We can do prayer. Of course, we'll do prayer. And stuff like that. But it's not going to see the archaeology in Jerusalem and see the Wailing Wall from the Roman fort that they tell you is from the temple, that it's not. And they do that to make you believe Yeshua was a false prophet because he said the walls wouldn't be standing, and they tell you there are and all. We're not going to do that. I don't travel that well. I go to the bathroom numerous times during the day. I don't enjoy that. I don't see so great anymore. And, I'm a little feeble. I don't want to go running around seeing the sights. We're not here to worship the creation. We're here to worship the Creator. Okay, so it's not about the biblical sights. Okay? And as you know, a lot happened in the Galilee. Yeshua spent much of his time in the Galilee with the disciples, the apostles. So, it's not Jerusalem, but I'm not supposed to be there now. I'm supposed to be here, so I'm where I'm supposed to be. Okay? So, I would ask the people, depending on how many come, we divide up the, I would say maybe I could get by with 500 for the week, but last week the offerings at GoFundMe were $450 or something. It's pretty slim, okay? So I really think that at 100 a day expenses are 700 for the whole thing, split amongst 4 people, so that's less than 200 a person. would cover everything. I mean, it's expensive when you start running the air. You'd be running the air conditioners 24/7 in this hot weather or the heat. I don't know what's going to happen. And then there's all the water, and if there's a lot of people wanting to take showers, you can't wait for the solar. You got to turn the electric on, which will heat the water in 10, 15 minutes. But that's expensive. You know, it's costly. Okay. All right. So if anybody has issues with me trying to cover the expenses like that, let me know. All right. So you'd have to pay your airfare. I don't know where you're coming from, but if you're coming from Europe, it could be pretty darn cheap, like under $500 round trip, okay? Or less, like under 300 sometimes. Depends where in Europe. I don't know. They just, you know, figure 500. And from America, it's probably going to be about 1,000 round trip to get to Israel. I mean, if you need a connection from Wyoming to Kennedy Airport, New York, I don't know, it may cost you more, but you know, you may get hit with 12, but I don't know. From North America, Canada, and United States, and Mexico, Mexico's actually in North America, you know, it's gonna run circa $1,000, $1,200, I guess, to get over here, round trip, okay? Now, when you get to the airport in Tel Aviv, we've got a 10-year-old car. We can't go pick you up, okay? It takes us, typically it's 2.5 hours each way to go to the airport, and then you're gonna futz around an hour and a half or 2 hours waiting. You gotta get there early, and then in case your flight comes in early, then you gotta clearing immigration, and for somebody from the EU or North America, Canada, US anyway, is going to take you 30 seconds. It's going to be sticking your passport in a machine and like swiping it, and then it's going to print out a 90-day Visa card about that big. You just stick it inside your passport. You don't glue it in. And you carry that little card around with you, so you don't have to carry your passport around. That's it. It's the size of a credit card, and it's soft. It's paperish, you know, a thick paper or a shiny paper. I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway. With your luggage, I don't think you'll have any difficulty. It just takes time to clear. Okay. The most fun airline to take is El Al, although they have a habit of being delayed. They're the most fun because you'll see all the ultra-Orthodox, and they'll be going to the back of the plane or putting on tefillin and praying at certain times. You'll enjoy it, I think. There's other airlines too, you know, American and stuff that come here. The flight's long, and that's the reality of it. And you'll, let me think, what else? You'll have to get from the airport up here, and there's no real good way of doing that. Unless I could coordinate some of you guys to come in at the same flight. In other words, most of you are going to take a flight from someplace in America or Canada, well, Europe's another matter, but to Kennedy or Newark Airport or the Atlanta Airport, I don't know, and maybe some of you could all meet there and take the same flight to Israel, and then you could split a taxi coming up here. But that's the best way to get up here. You can play games. If somebody's renting a car, you got it made, okay? That's somebody got to have some money. It's gonna, I mean, you could rent a little Fiat 500, which will hold 2 people and a small amount of luggage. Nobody's probably going to be bringing a lot of luggage, you know. If people want to bring gifts and presents to me, what's on the list? beef jerky. Beef jerky without monosodium glutamate. You got to be careful of that because that stuff ruins it. So beef jerky's on the agenda, and I don't know what else I could ask for. I'd have to, but that'd be a reasonable thing if somebody wanted to bring it. You don't have to bring anything. That would be reasonable, I guess. Some people don't like to go to a house without bringing a gift, and that's fine. You know, a lot of people ask us about that. Okay, if there's anything else I think that I would want from America that you wouldn't buy, I would just have shipped to you and you could carry over here easily, and maybe I would do that, but nothing's coming up right now. Okay, so the taxi is going to cost, used to be probably $125 to $140 US one way, so it's expensive. The other things you could do are kind of idiotic. To get off a plane with jet lag and try using the Israeli public transportation system is not something I suggest, but I have seen people do it, and we had to bail people out more than once from disasters, getting lost. Okay, so I don't suggest you try it. There are trains you could pick up at the airport and go to Haifa. And at Haifa, you could take, I would hate to see you try this. Take a bus to Tiberias, and oh man. You could take a taxi from the train in Haifa, but it's going to cost you almost as much as taking a taxi from Tel Aviv. So it's a dumb idea. Okay. So it's either the most intelligent way to take a taxi or rent a car. Okay, you're not going to find good English communication in the bus systems in Israel. It's not going to happen. Okay, people get lost. Okay. If somebody wanted to take a day off and go to see the Wailing Wall or something like that, we could probably arrange a day where people take a break, and if they want to, they get in a cab and go to Jerusalem and schlep around, get a cab early in the morning, go schlep around all day, and then come back in the evening. You could see all that stuff if you want to. I suppose we could arrange something like that, but I really don't. I'm not going to go. And I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, the purpose of this is to rip the S-Spot, the big S's kingdom up. It's not to go sightseeing, okay? Again, we're not here for the creation, we're here for the Creator. All right? So, having a prayer meeting here didn't make sense to me. I mean, it has value because when two or more are gathered together, there I am among you. And if two or more agree, he'll do it. So, I'm thinking that, maybe that, but we could combine the two. Why not pray? I don't have any problem with that. Now, I will still be doing the broadcasts during this time, and I don't really know why you'd want to be on the broadcast, but we could put you on if you wanted to. I don't know why you want to, but anyway, but I have to do the broadcast, and then I got to recover from the broadcast. But we'll have plenty of time. You got to remember, I'm old, and I sometimes take naps, and this patch has helped a lot. I got a lot more energy, but sometimes I get tired. It happens. So I can do several of these sessions. It doesn't have to be just one. I can do it 4 or 5 times. Now, if a lot of people, more than what I can handle in the apartment, okay, having people camp outside is not a great idea because the neighbors aren't going to like it. And if they complain to the mayor's going to show up at the house. very polite, and he's gonna tell me that you gotta cut this crop out or something, and I don't wanna get on the bad side of them, and there's a chance that nobody will complain, but there's a chance that some will complain. I don't know. I don't wanna find out. A couple of years ago, we had somebody stay in the front yard in a tent, and it was a bad thing. It wasn't a good idea, and it was very inconvenient. He was walking through the house to use the bathroom, and he was to use the sink. It was the dogs were very infatuated with his tent and trying to go in there because he had food in there. It just was not a good thing. So we really don't want to do any tents. It could cause problems, and there's no real good place to put a tent. We got between the garden and the front yard, which is wood chips for for the stuff growing. It's not comfortable, and the dogs are running around there, so they're going to be very interested in why you're sleeping in their area and why do you have food. What's going on? Is this a new house? What is a tent? I want to go in. They're friendly, but they like food. So the tent thing's not going to work. It's better now. I could get, if there's enough people that really want to do this, I could get. There's other guest houses within walking distance that we could arrange, but they're going to charge you for I don't know what. There's a woman near us that has a guest house with dormitory living, which I do not suggest is a good idea, where there's strangers sleeping in one large room in a bed, and that's stupid, but you don't know who's there, you got to worry about your stuff, I think she gets about $60 a night just to sleep on a bed in an open room with other people. So it's going to cost, I would say, minimal $100 to get a private room in a guest house. Now, our guest, what am I talking about? Let me explain. Not all, most of the guest houses are a regular private house that has 3, 4, or 5 bedrooms on 2 to 3 levels. Usually there are 4 or 5 bedrooms. Nobody really lives in the house except, let's call it the house monitor. Frequently there's a house monitor, okay? And that's a person that lives in the house, usually a woman, that has usually the master bedroom, has her own private bath, full bath and bedroom, and has a deadbolt on the door and can lock it, okay? And she runs the house to make sure people don't keep other people awake at night, to do any repairs or get people to fix anything that breaks, like an I don't know, a water leak, a broken refrigerator, air conditioner out, a light out, anything like that. And she cleans the house. Usually they do not clean, they rent them out by the room. And usually something like that will be $80, $90, $100 by the room. And you may have a private bath, that'll be more, and you may not. But you're having a shared living room, a shared patio, you might have a shared jacuzzi or swimming pool, and you have a shared kitchen, and people just are on the honor system of keeping their food in the fridge. Sometimes these houses they call them bed and breakfast, so the person that lives in the house gets up at 6 o'clock and makes simple breakfast for the people. What is that? Usually puts out frozen, refrigerated yogurts in little containers for them, has some fresh bread for them, has 1 or 2 kinds of juice for them, and frequently you see hard-boiled eggs being used, and cold cereal with milk, and that's usually what they give you. And they usually have sufficient water to make coffee, for tea, and they'll have 6 or 8 different kinds of tea in the bag, or 10 kinds, lots of tea, and then they'll have, a lot of people that come here like tea, and then they'll make coffee. They'll have pots of coffee out there, plenty of coffee. It'll be good coffee. Some of them have the little capsule machines, you put your flavored coffee in, and make your own coffee that way, and that we don't do that, but we thought about doing it, but it's too much of a burden on us to do that, so we don't do it. And you get into issues because, okay, so our guest house is not that way. It's its own self-enclosed house. It has a common wall with the main house, but it has its own back door. It has its own entrance and exits. You're not going through there, and you don't have other people that you don't know in there. And it has a connecting door to our house that we usually keep locked. But we, depending on who the people are, how friendly they are, we go through. Usually we knock, and if we need to do something, and we knock extensively to make sure nobody's there. And we're pretty sure, like, we look and see if their car's gone. But sometimes the car's gone and one's left behind. And if there's nobody there, then we'll go in and walk out the back door, or we may want to bring toilet paper or paper towels there or something. I don't know. Toilet paper we provide. I put 10 or 12 rolls in there, or 15, or whatever you need. So you could feel free on that. So it's not like those other houses, okay? So you're getting not a lot of privacy. When you go in your room and you shut your door, you have privacy. If you go in your room and you shut your door and you have your own full bathroom, then it's like staying in a hotel, pretty much, okay? That's the picture. So if we got a lot of people that want to come at the same time, I could book them in places within a 10-minute walk of the house. I could find places for them to book where they could stay there. That would be what I think. So you'd have to pay your own airfare, you'd have to pay for the taxi, and you'd have to pay for your own food, and then I need to recover the money that we're going to spend on utilities and water and electric and all, getting the place clean and stuff like that. It's very hard on my wife, who's getting old, and me to clean the place. So we let it out to people. We drop that out to people. It's like believers. We hire believers that need work, and they do this. So it's half ministry in a way. It's not full ministry, but it's half ministry. We also in the past have had people living there for free several times, different people. They need a place to stay, and they live there for free. But the cleaning of the place is rather extensive when people leave, because you're not just, like somebody stays in a guest house in your house, it's, superficially clean it. No, this is a whole thing you got to go through like a hotel. So you got to make it look spotless when the next people come in who could be paying for this, okay? Or the next prayer, spiritual warfare group comes in and they want a nice clean place. They want fresh bedding and clean towels and, that kind of stuff. So it's rather, from past experience, is rather extensive. And that's why most of the guest houses don't want anybody coming less than 2 days. And a lot of them on Airbnb charge a cleaning fee that goes with it. Then they don't care if you stay for a day. But, it's a lot of work to get it done. Believe me, you got to clean the shower. The shower has plastic walls. You got to clean that. You got to get the soap scum off the floor. You got to clean the soap dish. You got to make it look nice. You got to clean the sinks and the counter and the floor. And you got to clean the mirror. How much time does that take? You see what I'm saying? Then you got the other bathroom, the one with the toilet. You got to clean the toilet. You got to clean the floor. You got to clean the mirror. You got to clean the sink. Then the kitchen. So you add it all up, and you got almost a day work there because you really got to clean it. You really got to clean it. So now you need to know that the house is full of dogs, but I can keep them out of the guest house and the back patio. That's easy to do. If anybody doesn't like them or they're not comfortable, they're very friendly. But if you don't like it, I can keep them out. Usually they like to go in because the guests are fun for them. They get petted and they like it. and they like to kid around with the guests and see what's going on. It's their house, and just about everybody likes it. Now we have people that come in and they're afraid of the dogs, and then we keep the dogs away. That's all. So you just let me know. They're dogs. They can do fine without coming into the guest house. Okay. And the birds are in a big aviary, and they have no access to you. But it's a huge aviary. I mean, it's really huge, and it's like hard wire material, and they love it in there, and they usually go up very high in there. It's quite high because they like elevation for safety, and they'll talk to you. They talk in the morning the most, and in the evening they'll talk to you and they'll say stuff. Okay? If you stick your finger in, now you're invading their property. They'll bite your finger. Why are you putting your hand in my house? They'll bite it. They don't know who you are. So don't get into petting the birds. They're not that kind of a pet. They don't know you. And don't feed them. And just talk to them. They're pretty happy to talk to you. They'll get close to you. They'll look you straight in the eye and they'll kid around with you. But don't try to touch them. And don't stick your finger in there, because then they start getting defensive. They don't know what you're up to, and they don't know you. Okay? So you just, and don't go in there, of course, you know. And overall, it's a very peaceful house. It's very quiet, normally. Occasionally you get an obnoxious neighbor that has kids that get drunk and do karaoke or whatever. Karaoke, yeah. But it's pretty unusual. It's not common at all, and they usually shut it down before it gets late. And if you're in the house and you shut the doors and the window and the air conditioning, normally you don't hear nothing. It would be very rare for that not to be the case. Of course, we would take measures prayerfully and spiritual warfare-wise to make sure that doesn't happen. That's it. So I thought this would be a good idea to try to topple the Big S's system really badly. Okay. So again, you know, I don't know how to do this economically unless you all can pay your money your own way. I have no other ideas. So it would be, again, you probably $1,000, $1,200 for the airfare. And then going back, you could probably share taxis, because you probably all leave the same day. And if you come in the same day, maybe we could work that out. Taxis, you figure, probably would be $125 to $150 each way, US dollars. Okay. And it's not hard to get taxis, and it's not hard to get taxis that speak English. I have a few I use here. They know that the people are tourists, and I try to push them down. The way you push them down is you ask them for the price before you commit. And then they know that if they hit you high, you're going to say, okay, I'll get back to you, and it's over. So they give you a decent price. I can work with that. At the airport, you don't need to worry. There's taxis there sufficiently. You don't have to book one. They got SUVs and stuff like that. But you're not going to bring that much baggage for a week. I mean, you probably have a suitcase and a carry-on. That's probably about it, right? Electricity is not the same. So this could be a little bit of a problem. They have power converters on Amazon. I could help you with what to get on that. That's called the Step Up. Well, no, you're plugging a 110 American thing into the converter, and you're plugging that into the wall, and it's a step down. It's gonna make the 220 or the 230 here 110, and you could use that to run your electronic stuff. Now, you could also charge, I think we have extension cords, I'm not sure. Well, the converters allow for USB charging as well, which is usually slow, but you can charge it all night. So you're going to want to charge your phones, and you're going to want to charge your computers, bring a converter. Now, If you want to run electric razor, no problem. But here's where the trouble starts. Hair dryers and curling irons for the women tend to draw huge amount of wattage on the electricity. So you got to watch that the currency converter has enough. I'll advise you with the currency converters. They're about $30-$40 on Amazon, and it usually allows you to plug 3 things in at the same time, plus a couple of USBs. So you're going to need that. If you're coming from Europe and you have a British plug, all you need to do is convert the plug. You get one of these cheap things that changes the European three-prong rectangular kind of shaped plugs into the European Union round plug with 2. And that's for a few bucks, $10, $5, and then you can plug them in because it's the same 220, 230 as you get in the UK. If you're coming from the EU, the plugs there, the 2 little round plugs are going to work. You don't have any problem with them. You just plug them in and you'll be fine, okay? From other countries, I don't know what your plug is. You'd have to look it up or let me know, and I might be able to help you. So you need to worry about that. The washing machine is the type of thing that, please, let's just not use the washing machine. It's for an emergency, we could probably use it, but let's not bother with it. It's a long story for the washer and the dryer. So for a week, you probably don't need to use that. Okay. In terms of what clothes to bring, I would advise you based on the weather. But right now, you should bring some kind of sandals or some kind of cool shoes. Sandals, your feet are going to get dirty. There's no sidewalk, so whatever you feel comfortable in. Shorts and light clothing for hot weather is what you want. Okay, and a hat, any kind of hat, some kind of hat to help block the sun. The sun's strong. Okay, and so you could communicate easily with your friends and family using our high-speed internet. The guest house has its own internet, its own modem, separate from the house. So if I do but the reason we did that is when I'm doing the broadcast and we got people in the house and they're all starting to, do Facebook and WhatsApp and all this other stuff with their friends and family, it could kill the broadcast. It hurts the bandwidth. So I have my own for the house, and then we have one for the guest house. And actually, my wife can do live stream, and I can do live stream at the same time from the house. But we had people in the guest house that was giving us trouble. I don't know. They were probably uploading videos to their families and friends, and I don't know. So we had to have 2. So that means you're going to have crackerjack internet, better than what you have in your home country, most likely. Israel has wonderful internet. And like I said, it's 500 mega down and probably 8 or 9 up, or 7, or, it's pretty good. Now I'm switching to fiber optic in the near future, so it'll be even better. But I don't know when I'm going to get that done, but probably sooner than later. So I think I covered everything. Okay, so this is for you. If you can afford it, I can't fly you over here and do that, okay? And I need to be able to recoup expenses to some extent. And I put a little cushion in there just in case. What do I mean? Something might break, something could drop, something could get damaged or whatever, okay? And so you got the airfare, the cab, your food, and some contribution to cover the expenses of running the guest house. And there you have it. And if any of you are interested, let me know. Now, this might fall on its face, and people can't get the time away and they can't get the money and all that, and then it's going to fall on his face. And what am I going to do then? I don't know. Then I'm going to say that it's not God's will to do this, obviously, and regroup. But I don't think we can do it as well by setting up a group like Zoom. I mean, I could screen the Zoom, but I just don't think it's going to be as good. It's not the same. And when you experience the peace that everybody says they have at this property, because I make sure there is peace here. Okay, I make sure of that. Then it'd be interesting, you know. I can't say anything else about this. It'll be, I don't think the enemies had to deal with anything like this in Timor Island, roughly, and now they're going to have to. So, it's not for the squeamish, you know. You're not going to have anything happen to you, though. Nothing's going to happen. But you got to be the kind that's just going to push forward, you know, in faith and strength and all that. And I expect we'll topple things. Ephesians 6. And I think it'll happen pretty quick. And I think we'll see plenty signs of it. All right. And I will teach what I know. Okay. I will explain to you all my experiences I've had over 30 years and different things. Okay. And I have noticed the spiritual warfare working more effectively in recent months. So, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if God blessed us with signs and wonders following the word and our spiritual warfare. I wouldn't be at all surprised, but I can't guarantee it. I'm not him. So I hope you found this interesting, and if you can't come, pray that some can. Pray we don't have the S-bots involved, although it'll be the worst mistake of their life. And pray that it works out. I think this would be a really, really good thing. Okay. I wish I could have more people come. Now, what if you want to come and you have kids? Let's say you're a couple, a woman and a wife, or I could say a man and a wife, a woman and a wife, man and a wife. Take your pick. And you got kids. Well, I don't know how to deal with this. It could work. It depends on the size of the kid, okay? If you got, I just don't know. It's going to depend on you and the kid. And we'd have to try to rig away. We have one cot that we could use. Or you could, if the kid's small, you could put the kid in the bed with you. You could get the king-size bed, and maybe you could put the kid in there. Or we could try building a bed on the floor, or I don't know what. We could figure something out. There's a way we could put the cot in the living room at night if a child would want to sleep out there like that. But when people get up and go to the bathroom at night, from the one bedroom, they would have to walk by the kid, but let's assume that's where the parents are, so that's no biggie. And from the other bedroom to go to the toilet, they wouldn't have to walk by the kid. There's a door. It's hard to explain. There's on one side of the guest house, it's its own house. It's about 700 square feet, so it's not huge. It has a bedroom, then it connects into a living room that has a sofa, big screen TV, some furniture to put stuff on, a really nice chair to sit on and stuff like that. Okay. Then off of that room is the bathroom with the shower. Then there's another door that goes into what we call the breakfast nook. This is a room that it's a narrow room, and it has a beautiful blonde color solid wood breakfast table fixed into the floor and the wall. It's a real thick wood table. It holds 4 people, and it has a window over it. And that's a narrow, long room, and then off of that room is a doorway to the bathroom with the toilet and the sink. And then you go up 3 steps and you're in the kitchen, and then off the kitchen you go into the other bathroom. Okay? Now the doorway that connects the living room with the breakfast nook has a closing door. So there's quite a bit of privacy between the bedrooms at night. Okay. But the one up in the bedroom by the kitchen would close their door. It has an air conditioner in there. Close their door, and then if they got to go to the bathroom, they go out and go to the bathroom. They don't disturb the other people, then they go back and close their door. And if the other people get up, they open the door to the breakfast nook, go to the bathroom, and they wouldn't disturb the other people because the bedroom door is closed. So it works. Okay? And when you go to the shower, you just shut the bathroom door up, lock it up. I think there's a key thing, it's something you can lock up, and that's it. The house is extremely safe. You don't have to worry about anything. And the dogs are home all the time. And the little dogs don't get to go into the guest house unless I bring them back there to play around with the kids and stuff like that. But Chief he's gone off living with 3 girl dogs, and he thinks his mission in life is to mark. So he's a problem. I got to keep a really close eye on him. That's all he cares about. Is he nice with strangers? Yeah, he's quite nice. Is he friendly to kids? Yeah. But he doesn't have a lot of patience with the kids. In other words, does he get mad with them? No, he just walks away and starts looking for places to mark. And Yafa likes children, and she loves playing with kids and strangers. Yafa's idea of playing is to sit on your lap and get petted. But she will run around a little bit with kids. But they're not really high exercise dogs. And, wow, it's only 88 now, so the dogs can stay out there. I think we're still looking at about 98 degrees, 99 degrees today. And a low of 80, they're telling us. That's going to be bad. But, see, that's what I'm saying. You'd have to run. See, last week I didn't get $450. I got like roughly $417. That's pretty low. It's very expensive to live here. So, that's why I'm asking people to cover expenses, And I'm trying to do things differently, all right? Sort of stagnated at Twitter and stagnated at YouTube, and the website's not overly successful. It's getting very small amounts of traffic, okay? Possibly if I do videos on the website, it'll elevate. I don't know. I'm working on that. The webmaster's a volunteer, and I asked him to investigate this hosting we found, and they got a trial you can do, and he said he was going to test it and see what it went, but I didn't get the results yet. And then he has computer business that's very busy, and then he also is trying to transition into his music business. He works a lot as a studio musician. He's a highly accomplished guitarist and does studio work. To do studio work for other people's recording, you got to be way up there. Way, way, way up there to do that. And that's what he likes doing. And he feels that artificial intelligence is going to put him out of work soon. And I don't know what all will happen, but it might be that you might be able to get a program. Let's say you want to build a website, and you could tell it like, hey Siri, do this, You might be able to tell it to do things and build the website in the near future, so you don't have to know anything about making a website. You might be able to talk to it and get it to create it. And it would do it, in seconds. What takes somebody 5 to 10 minutes, this thing might be able to do in 4 or 5 seconds, So he's concerned that his work's going to drop off, so he's trying to build his music business up. The music industry is all kinds of messed up these days. Oh, they stripped our chat again. How about that? My broadcast with multi-stream. Yeah, we can get it to multi-stream, but yeah, but it's not. The idea is you want content that's yours. So if you put stuff on TikTok, Rumble, YouTube, and something happens, they go out of business, they close your account, anything like that happens, you lose your data. So the idea that I had was to make videos just using the iPad and then upload it to YouTube and upload it to Twitter and upload it to my own hosting site. I can't host it on my own website because the bandwidth. The SBots will come around and keep playing the video repeatedly over and over and over, lots of them, and it'll run the bandwidth up, and I'll get bills of $3,000-$4,000 at the end of the month, or they'll close my account. So I found one that has unlimited bandwidth. So we got to test it. We got to make sure that it actually plays the video adequately. We got to make sure it's not very difficult for me to put the video up with my limited knowledge. And then there are things you could buy that'll upload to multi-sites simultaneously, but it'll just suck the bandwidth dry. So I got to figure out how to do it. So in other words, if I upload it to my own website, my own web server hosting, your video hosting place with unlimited bandwidth, they can attack me all they want. It's not going to do them any good, and they'll give up. And I just take the link and put the link up on Twitter, and if I want to use a Rumble or a TikTok or other services, which I don't think are very good, it would play it off of my own. So the Twitter would actually play off my own hosting. And with YouTube, I would need to upload the video to YouTube, which I don't care about, because I still have the mother file. They can't delete it. They can delete what's on YouTube, but not the file. Let me frustrate these people and put back what they removed. It's apparently a bot that travels around and takes things down, and they don't send it back a second time. I don't think it does that, and I don't think it's YouTube doing it. I think it's some idiots that just don't like videos, and they just go around deleting the chat, which is really of little value. And they don't delete the pinned message. The bot that goes around probably doesn't even see the pinned message, and it probably can't get it down. They probably think they're hurting my offerings and stuff like that. Okay, now let me make sure I could see the pin message. Let me reload it. There it is. So the pin message is up there. So Supreme Canon had some very good comments. Might see if your webmaster can get your broadcast to multi-stream on YouTube, Odyssey. You can, but nobody watches. I've gone to Odyssey and Rumble, and you look around and you see with the Bible type sites, Churchianity and otherwise, with their witchcraft and everything else, they hardly get any views. Most of them give up over there. It's not. Bible believers aren't going there. You get Bible believers on Twitter YouTube and you get them on Facebook, but I wouldn't last long on Facebook. I don't have any patience for that kind of censorship. That's just a sick place. I don't bother with Facebook. It's too hard to deal with that idiot place. Yeah, I don't think it's a person. I think they're sending a bot to all the chats. And they might be not just picking on me, they might be deleting everybody's chat. And I don't know what they're doing. They could just be harassing YouTube, or I have no idea. But it's some idiots, you know. That's all it is, you know. And you just put it back up. That's all. And it's in the description box too. Okay, so what's the latest in Israel? We'll switch to that. And you know, this thing with spiritual warfare could fail. It may be nobody's going to come because it's expensive and time and all that. So it may not work. I'm well aware of that. But I did feel the Lord was pretty okay with me asking, and that might mean that it's not going to work too. I don't know. But let's talk about what's going on in Israel. So the judicial reform that Netanyahu did with the reasonableness doctrine, where the Supreme Court could strike a law, not just a law, forget law, an action of the Knesset, the Congress, like a budget allocation or a decision to do something, not a law. They could strike it down by saying it violates the reasonableness doctrine. It's not reasonable. And that could, their action has to be stopped. So Netanyahu is steering towards completely stripping the power of the Supreme Court and the Attorney General. So he gets out from his prison cases and they don't come back and haunt him. So what the idiot is doing is he's took the reasonableness away, and that enables them to put Aryeh Deri back and control the health ministry and the immigration ministry, but Mishrat HaPanim, Ministry of the Interior, which controls immigration. So anyway, he's got that now, but Aryeh Deri's not back yet. And then there was a law that went through something to do with mayors, and it would enable one of Aryeh Deri's cronies to get a position as a mayor, I think, in Tel Aviv. I didn't spend a lot of time with this one because it's a local election for a city. It's not that highly relevant. But the Supreme Court struck it down, so Aryeh Deri's cohort or buddy is not going to get in. Very interesting. And the court is going to review the reasonableness doctrine in September. The Knesset's on break now, I believe, summer break. In September sometime, the Supreme Court's going to review that. There've been multiple, some petitions about it. And there also are multiple petitions to remove Netanyahu from office because he's facing criminal charges and he's been negotiating and navigating judicial reform, which would radically affect his criminal cases. So I don't know if the Supreme Court has the guts to do anything about Netanyahu. They may or may not. I don't know yet. It looks like they're starting a step forward with a little bit of guts now. So they got some, the Supreme Court feels they're not so afraid or intimidated by Netanyahu. Now, the opposition, which is basically Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid, are putting pressure on Netanyahu, and they were negotiating with him, and while they were negotiating with him, Netanyahu just ignored everything. Apparently they struck a deal, and Netanyahu completely ignored the deal and put up for the vote the reasonableness doctrine and passed it, and just slap-shotted them and insulted them. So they publicly said there's no point of negotiating with Netanyahu anymore, because he makes a deal with you and then he breaks it. So you see, Netanyahu is known to be a liar. Okay? And it comes out in the press repeatedly. And then you hear the military warn Netanyahu about judicial reform weakening the military. Well, this is all true and good, but they're missing the boat, the military is. It's not about any of this to Netanyahu. It's just about staying out of jail. That's it. And he's not going to back off at all. At all. Forget it. And Levites and Benny Gantz should know better, but now they got Netanyahu made monkeys out of them. You know, or maybe we could say he made hyenas out of them, or turtles or something, right? And they're embarrassed. So they were talking about telling Netanyahu they need to have a postponement of any further judicial reform to 2025. Nothing happens until 2025. That would be the rest of this year and all of 2024. Of course, Netanyahu is never going to agree to that. And it's a stupid move Gantz and Levites are trying, because they figure Netanyahu will be in trial and hopefully convicted before he can, and then he'd be out of office, before he can do anything like that. And Netanyahu is a stupid man, in my opinion, but not that stupid. He knows evil well. So he's not going to fall for that. So the only real options that Benny Gantz and Levites have is to do a vote no confidence against Netanyahu and knock him out that way. That's the only option they got. And are they going to do that? So far they haven't. So I think they're not. Well, I don't know. They might. I don't know. Now, Biden's administration is trying to engineer something that's completely moronic. I don't understand any of this at all for having any validity. The Biden administration is worried about Saudi Arabia, and with Saudi Arabia goes their blood brother cousins, or whatever you want to call them, their buddies, their bros, not literally, but the UAE. So they're both getting close to China, which the Biden administration can't stand. Okay, and they're both moving towards BRICS, which the Biden administration doesn't want to see the UAE and Saudi Arabia, big oil producing countries, start selling their oil based on the BRICS gold-backed currency. That's for trade amongst the BRIC. It's a trade currency. It's not the regular, what's going to be in people's wallets and purses. Okay. So that could mean that foreign countries that want UAE oil or Saudi oil are going to have to, or natural gas, have to get their hands on some of the BRICS gold-backed currency to pay them with. So the United States is very, very, very upset with this, and they will deal with it, because they always have in the past. That's why I say they will. Since we're in end times, maybe they won't, but it'll be to their end if they don't. So, the United States is saying we're going to broker a Abrahamic Accord deal with Saudi Arabia and Israel. We already have one with the UAE. Now, why would Israel do this? There's no good reason under the sun why Israel would do this, yet Netanyahu wants to do it. It will not benefit Israel in any way that I can ascertain. Possibly it would be more arms sales, like Iron Dome and stuff like that, to Saudi Arabia, and some of that filters down into the public coffers of Israel, because the corporations pay a 23% tax, and that tax revenue goes to the government, and what the government does with it and all that, we don't know, or whatever they do, but some of it has to filter down to helping the people of Israel. Okay, so It's money in the pocket of the government of Israel. And the Saudis will buy billions of dollars worth of crap, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's a big deal. Okay. It's not going to be very meaningful to the average Israeli, I promise you. So, Netanyahu wants it because it'll make him look good. It's stupid. We're not supposed to have treaties with the surrounding countries. That's a sin. That's another reason why he wants it. Yeshua never said, when you're back in the land returned from captivity, go have treaties with the foreign nations. He didn't have to. He said, don't think I came to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. Okay, then he said, for as long as there's a heaven and an earth, which it still is today, not one jot or tittle shall be done away with from the law. So that still stands, and that would be a sin to do it. So Saudi's not giving any cheap gas to Israel. Netanyahu doesn't care about Israel getting cheap gas. He wants it hard to live here. You must understand that. Netanyahu wants it hard to live here. If you get rid of Netanyahu, it probably will not be that bad. The others would not be as punitive and hateful and spiteful towards the Israeli people as he is. And now that he's having such trouble staying out of jail, he's really more resentful towards the Israelis. So Saudi Arabia wants concessions. They want many things done for the Palestinians. You see, this is what Biden likes, reversing prophecy. Well, let's take those that worship another God against the Torah and not only keep them in Israel, make them happy in Israel, but bolster and build them up economically and every other way in Israel. So Israel becomes nothing resembling what it should. That's their idea. So if it did come to pass, it would be after many months of negotiations, and the existing regime in Israel, the existing coalition government, to use the correct term, would never agree to this. Ben-Gvir and Smotrich would rebel at it. So the idea they were cooking up is to get Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, the ultra-right-wingers, which are Zionists and stuff like that, to get thrown out of the coalition and bring in Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid and move forward that way in a left-wing manner, giving money and other things to the occupied countries. So, we're the occupied, to the Palestinian. Anyway, they want to bolster the Palestinians up, and Netanyahu can't do that. And forming a government with Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid is a nice thing that Biden could talk about and the media could talk about, but I believe Netanyahu rejected it already, and Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid never agreed to it. It's not going to go to pass. Okay, and we don't know what the rabbinical parties, the Shas Party and United Torah Judaism, would do. Would they go along with it? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't know. It has, in my opinion, no benefit to Israel. Zero. The average Israeli has no stinking benefit to having an Abrahamic Accord with Saudi Arabia. Zero. I don't see a single thing. Nothing. Selling them weapons, who cares about that, So, and it doesn't even mean they would buy the weapons and then they want us to make concessions to the Palestinians. So every time the Palestinians complain, the Saudis are going to say, we're going to walk out of our deal with you. Why even have a deal with them? It's a sin. it does not look like it's working, and this postponing the judicial reform till 2025 is dead in the water. That's not, Netanyahu's not going for it. That was, you know, stupid ideas from stupid people. Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid would not promote or participate in any serious discrimination towards Messianics or Jew or Christians in Israel. Okay? That's the only benefit I get there. Would they do anything for cheap housing? They would say they're going to do something, and they probably never would. Maybe a little bit, but nothing serious. What would they do with the West Bank? Oh, they'll give it back if they could get away with it. They give it back, but now they're scared because they're saying, maybe not so quick. They're seeing rockets launched from inside the West Bank, Samaria and Judea, correct names. But they're bootleg, basement made, so to speak, rockets that aren't really doing anything. And they're fearful if they give it back, then they'll get the rockets going and they'll attack us the same way Gaza does. So they're not so quick on wanting to do that. And then the question is, what do they do with the settlers there? Run them out of the settlements, and what if they don't go, and all this other stuff. So, what else is going on? So where does that leave us, I should say? It leaves us with Netanyahu continuing to push full charge on his judicial reform. They have a new idea. Now, if the government and the people let Netanyahu do this, it may work. They want to take the Attorney General and split the powers of the Attorney General into two offices, create a new office. This new office would be some prosecutor, like a federal, like what would it be in America? The Attorney General, the Attorney General. No, would it be the Attorney General? The Justice Department, yeah, I guess it would be the Attorney General. So they want to create, it'd be the top prosecutor of the country. And they would have the ability, because they're in the process of changing political appointments, and some things have already changed, where the Knesset will appoint this new prosecutor. So it's going to be a Netanyahu crony. And this Netanyahu crony, they say, will get into office and review the Netanyahu case and say, this case is stupid, the government's not going to win, the prosecution's not going to be able to prove that Netanyahu did all these things, and therefore it's best in the public interest, to save time and money, and just dismiss it. So they'll dismiss or throw out of court all the cases against Netanyahu. Then Netanyahu does not have to pursue judicial reform. He already got Aryeh Deri appointed. And he's not worried about the Supreme Court striking down the Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich concepts, what they want done. He doesn't care one way or the other. He'd rather see them stricken down. And he just marches on. He'll still have an axe to grind with the Supreme Court and the Attorney General, but he can do that at a later date. He's happy his criminal cases have gone away. This might happen. Many of the members of the Likud party are sick and tired of what's going on with the protesters and Netanyahu. They all know this is only about Netanyahu staying out of jail. We pick it up in the media 3-4 times a week. People say that, but they need to broadcast it. That this is only about this schmuck keeping himself out of jail. And the best way to deal with him is to put pressure on the Attorney General, accelerate his trial and get him put in jail already, or get him to resign or something, get him out of there. But they don't know how to do it. And they're afraid of him. They don't know what to do. And they're not smart. They're espots. So they only do what they're told. They don't know what to do. So why is Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid not running, doing a vote of no confidence, or running Benny Gantz for prime minister? It appears from the polls for several months that they would win overwhelmingly. I don't know why they're not doing it. There's something wrong. There's something wrong here. Something's rotten in Denmark, as they say. Okay? Something's not right. I'm going to be praying to the Lord about using Zoom or some other vehicle and seeing if we could meet that way, pending getting people to come over here for the spiritual warfare seminar or whatever you want to call it, sabbatical. I don't know. We'll figure a name out for it. These other people, the House of Prayer, that was their SBOT run, so they make sure they mingle plenty of, false believers amongst them, so that the Lord doesn't work mightily with them on that, because they're not supposed to be in fellowship with them. Okay, and the reason you're not supposed to be in fellowship with them is in numerous scriptures. One that is pretty profound is 2 John 9. Whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ hath not God. He that abideth in the doctrine of Christ, he hath both the Father and the Son. Okay, they don't abide. If there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not unto your house, neither bid him Godspeed. So I'm putting everybody up in the guest house. If we get an S-bot in there and they're going to demonstrate they don't abide by the doctrine of Christ, okay, we're not supposed to have them in the house or fellowship with them, let alone how can the two walk together if they're not agreed, and if we don't pray with them, we don't do spiritual warfare with them, we don't go in agreement with them. Okay, it's all wrong. Now, what I'll do is have everybody sign something on the internet that says, I follow the true doctrine of the apostles, and I don't believe in this, and I don't believe in that, and I'm not this. So then it makes it much easier for them to make this the worst mistake of their entire life. Okay, I know how to do this. It will be the worst mistake they ever made in their life, and they will pay for it eternally, beginning on earth. Okay, I checked with my father. I will do it. I will really hand them their head on a silver platter, and they will not recover from this. There's nothing that the big ass and all his underlings can do about it to stop it. Nothing. Because he doesn't have power to stop me. Look how many years I've been teaching against him. So I will take care of that. Okay. But now comes, what about doing a Zoom? Well, maybe I could set up my own Zoom on my own web server. I have to look into that. I have a pretty powerful web server that the website's on. I might be able to run a Zoom there. Because they can't do unlimited bandwidth, because I would have to invite you to Zoom, and I would go through the same measures to invite you, but it wouldn't, I don't think it'll be as powerful. I just don't see it. I don't think so. I could try it. I'm going to talk to my father about it and see if that's something to pursue. I have a feeling no, but I'll look into it, okay? I will. I really will. Okay, so as it stands now, Schmuck and Yahoo is still in office. Nobody's doing a vote of no confidence, and he's still continuing to plod through with his judicial reform as quick as he can. And the right wing, Smotrich, the economic minister, is doing jack to help us with housing prices or fix inflation. He's doing nothing. Okay. I read Yellow Truck Line in America went out of business, laid off 30,000 people. See, the recession's coming. Amazon lays off numbers like that. Lots of companies lay off like that. And then the interest rates go up, and they're not smart people. You don't have to be that smart. I got a master's in business. That gives you your recession. Interest rates go up, so credit card interest rates are higher, so you got less disposable income. You're paying more interest. Okay? Car loans are higher. House loans, mortgages are higher. Business doesn't expand because higher rates, new housing starts go down, less jobs, stuff like that, right? So it slows the economy down, then you have layoffs. So now the people are out of work and they spend less money, a lot less. And some of them get into economic trouble, the ones that carried a lot of debt and this and that. Kamala Harris said that the average American was $400 away from going bust. See, it wasn't like that in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s to that extent. I mean, it's really awful. It happened when in the Obama years, I think things started shifting where the wealth was transferring more to the elite, and the people were running, and we started hearing about people not having any savings anymore. But on my father's day, everybody had savings. Then it was easy to buy a house. It wasn't any great thing, and they didn't have these credit bureaus like they have today. Credit was fairly easy, and stuff like that. Now people can't even afford to pay rent, and so you got an administration that's shoveling billions of dollars every month into Ukraine and doing nothing. About homelessness. What's he doing? What's the Biden administration doing? I don't read anything. Nothing. What they need to do is make housing projects. You take some government-owned land and you take an area and you put 30 or 40 buildings, 30 or 40 stories high, with small apartments in there for homeless people. You create a lot of jobs for the building and making the supplies to build with and all that. And you got to make a lot of these things. You probably got to make about 50 or 60 such projects around the country to take the load off the homeless people, where people can go, and if they are having trouble, the working poor, they can pay very diminished rent. And if they're homeless and they can't work, they have a place. You just got to get them off the street. And then when they're off the street, then you could, in these communities, you set up offices of some federal agency that works with re-education for the people. Usually if the people are 60, there's no re-education. If they're under 60, maybe under 55 or something like that, and they don't have a skill that gives them a job, you give them some kind of training to get them a skill that gives them some kind of job. Or, I don't know, you could work a lot of things like that out, And then in that building, since people aren't going to have cars in that complex of buildings, you put some stores in there. You put some supermarkets, pharmacies. You can put medical, like Doc in the Box or something like that there. Have a bus station or a subway or some kind of rail system in there as a stop. you can have a dry cleaner in there, hardware store, coffee shop, pizza shop, hot dogs, you know. Yeah, have about 30 or 40 stores in there that people can go to, you know. So let's work some numbers and see. Let me just show you what we're talking about. So let's say the building is 40 stories high, which they're capable of doing, and it has 8 apartments on a floor, which is not very excessive. Okay, so you got let's reduce it to 30 floors. Okay, so I'm trying to get this thing open here. Oh, it looks weird. What happened? Oh, it's an ad. I gotta close it. Okay, so let's say you got 30. What happened? It's giving me more ads. I gotta get rid of this thing and get a different calculator. Okay, this thing is excessively idiotic. All right, so you got 30 floors, and you got, let's say, 9 apartments on the floor. Let's try that. So you got 270 apartments, okay? And let's say you do 20 buildings, okay? You got 5,400 apartments, and let's say you're going to average 3 people in an apartment, okay? So you got 16,000 people that you could take off the streets, all right? Now, you probably have to put 200 of those up to really make a dent. And that would get you 3 million. Now, you wouldn't need to, you need 1 million. If you put 1 million up, 100 of those places up around the United States, you would severely dent the homeless crisis, severely. And that would reduce rents, okay? Because you're not going to take just homeless, you're going to take people that are really the working poor and stuff like that. Now, there's always going to be a certain amount of homeless people that are crazy and they don't want that. We tried to help somebody, I'm not going to do names here, 2 separate occasions in Israel, let them live in the guest house for free. It's one person. For extended periods of time, weeks, right? And in both occasions, badmouthed us, left, and went back to being homeless. They did not have to badmouth us. We were not charging them anything, no electric, no water, nothing. Were we buying their food? No. They had to get their own food. We're giving them some food, yes, but we weren't buying them their food. That was the only expense they had. And they preferred to go back because they don't like the commitment. What was the commitment we had with it? Well, with this person, the problem that we had overwhelmingly was this person stayed up talking to Americans at night, all during the night. Did this keep us up? No, they used the internet. We were sleeping. And this person would be chatting and all this stuff with friends and relatives all night long, right? Until, 3, 4 in the morning, then go to sleep. And then this person would stay in bed till 11, 12, whatever. And it was a little obtuse. But we put up with it, and we tried to give this person work on the property and pay this person so this person could buy food. But if they don't work, they don't eat. So we did it with, you see what we did? We did the biblical thing, work on the property. And this person didn't want to work on the property. So it blew up, we were satanic, took off. A few months later, came back, we tried it again, same thing happened. It was satanic, boom, took off. Okay, so we gave up on that one. Then we had other people that needed a place to stay, another person needed a place to stay for a while, returned to Israel from another country, and we put them up for, I don't know, maybe half a year. And that worked out pretty good. We didn't have any problem with that. It was fine. It worked out. So we do use the guest house, this way to help people too. There was some other things we did, I don't remember, but we help people out like that, Um, there's some people coming from someplace in the world that are going to help us do repairs on the roof in exchange for staying here. Um, and that, I'm not sure about that one yet, but of course I didn't set it up, but I'll find out about that. I'll do my thing, and it'll either blow up or happen, you know. So, I thought it was an airplane, it's not. So, there's, different kinds of things, but it appears to me and other people that the guest house business in Israel is whoop, which we're trying to figure it out. We don't know for sure. It could be because COVID's over. People are going to the hotels when before they just wanted the guest house. That sounds unlikely to me. Before COVID, it was a great business. And a lot of people that had guest houses were selling them after COVID. They didn't want them anymore. And I don't know why, but we're not sure why this is happening. It could be a general drop in tourism. So when you talk to Airbnb, the prices they want you to charge for the guest house is so low, which it never used to be, that I don't want to do it because it's so low. I could lose money on the utilities, and they want us to do it for about, I'll tell you exactly, pretty exactly, hold on. It's stupid, we're just not going to do it. I don't know why they're pushing us like that. All right, I got to switch this around here. Give me a second. What the heck? They give you all these ads that drives you. What are they trying to do? I want to get out of here. Let's see if it worked. No, almost. Hold on. They want us to run at $54 a day. And I'm not going to do that because we could lose money on electricity, water, and all that, and the cleaning. And if somebody comes and stays 4 days, they're going to pay $216, and I'm going to pay over $100 to clean the place when they leave. And then with utilities, I'm not going to. What am I doing this for? I could lose money. It's stupid, So why is everything that bad? Because they don't think anybody will rent it. That's why. And the hotels are not giving them away. They're not giving the rooms away that I can tell. They can't. So I think tourism is just down. Why would it be down? Look at all the terror. See, people come here. Where do they want to go? They want to come to the Galilee. They come usually on a 1 week trip to Israel is usually not normal. They'll take 2 weeks typically, or 3, or a month. But 2 weeks is about right. So they'll want to come to the Galilee area here. There's enough to see for at least 2 days, if not 3. And they'll spend a few days in Jerusalem, like 3 or 4. And what are they going to do the rest of their time? Well, they might go to Eilat. They'll go to the Dead Sea. They could go to Tel Aviv just to see it. They could go to the coastal cities and whatever other things they want to see. Go up by Lebanon, up by the Golan Heights, which is really by Lebanon, and stuff like that. So that's, a typical trip. So the tourists will stay here at least 2 days, because it's not a 1 day event to see the Galilee. It's at least 2, really 3 or 4, but at least 2. And most of them that just do it in 2 don't know all the different things to see in the Galilee, so to them it's 2. So this is what happens, and the no demand for this is weird. It's rather weird and odd, and I don't quite grasp it. So I don't know what to do with the guest house. I gotta think about it. We could certainly rent it to people by the month, but then we lose access to the rear of the house, and we have to walk all the way around, which is really annoying. And I don't want to live like that. I don't mind somebody coming for even a week, or somebody even, we have sometimes people that come for like 3 weeks or something like that, or a month. They're usually friends or family, so we don't have the problem. We want to walk through the house, But when you're talking with strangers, it'd be rare to see them here a week. It's usually 2 to 4 days, so we put up with it. It's no big deal. But, this can be a big deal. So I got to bring the dogs in. Give me a couple of minutes to get them. It's 91 degrees. I don't want them out there anymore. It's hot enough. They got to come. So give me 2-3 minutes. It's not a long time, but I got to get them. It's not fair to them. Here's the sidekicks. Oh, that didn't do my stomach muscles any good. Picking them up hurt my muscles. You get all your core muscles aren't what they used to be. Okay, sorry about that. They needed to come in. It's too hot out there. So, Netanyahu is not going to budge on judicial reform, as they call it, which is basically weakening the power of the courts, the Supreme Court and the Attorney General, unless he gets himself out of jail. And then I dread the revenge that he's going to take on the people of Israel, because that's how he is. But he's so bad when he's in a good mood that it's a joke, you know. So does Netanyahu have much of a future politically? Is he circling the drain right now? Yes. Do I think he's going to recover? I highly, highly doubt it. Too much tossed salad and enchiladas going his way. He's not going to recover from this. He's going to go down. But it's just when you do these, you know what I'm talking about. When you do these things with the salad and the enchilada, it takes time with these elite. They don't go like that. It takes time, you know. And it happens, you know. It's happening. You're watching it, but it takes time. It just takes time. If America had the law where you can do a vote of no confidence on the president, and the Congress could throw him out if he wasn't able to muster enough support of both houses, he'd be thrown out of office. Well, there would be a new election and then a new presidential election. If something like that happened, America would be a completely different country. But they don't have that. So that's a good thing Israel has in a way. But again, it's like, who do you want? S-Spot number 1, S-Spot 2, S-Spot 3, S-Spot 4, it's all S-Spots. So take the S-Spot of your choosing. See, that's not what we're doing anymore. These days are over. And will you manage to fix it using the democracy? Absolutely not. You got to get rid of the democracy. People can't manage themselves like that. It's just going to cause corruption, and it doesn't work. And look how it's never worked. In Israel, it's never worked. It's always been turmoil, economic problems, wars, civil unrest, enemies fighting you from within, corruption, and you know, it never worked ever. Why do you think it would work anymore? It never will work. It never worked, and it never will work. Well, what about other democracies? Well, you don't know what they'd be like if they had another system. You're just saying, well, to us it worked. Well, in the golden years of America, of the 1950s, it did not work for the people of color. Japanese were interned during World War II. I mean, you know, it didn't work for the Jews. It worked for a lot of the white people that weren't Jews, and that was it. The other people didn't have a good time. But the real golden age was after they had a real republic, like with Ben Franklin and George Washington. They had S-Spots running the show, of course. George Washington, the Mason, and Franklin, I think, was a Mason. Now they got their pictures on the money. Probably there was never a non-Mason who appeared on money or postage stamps or anything, or a non-S-Spot, I should say. So they had that going on, right? And they had about 40 years of a real republic with a hard currency. Well, did they have a hard currency? No, I don't think they did. Not sure. I think for 40 years they might have, and then it fell apart. Like Franklin said, now you got a republic, let's see how long you keep it. He knew what was going to happen. He was one of them, you know. And you had slavery going on during this time, so how great of a place was it too, you know? The slaves didn't think it was great. You know, they brought people in from Puerto Rico. I remember that in New York. There was loads of them there, and they lived in ghettos, and they they brought, I guess, the wrong people, and these people never worked. Most of them didn't even bother learning English. Social workers had to know Spanish. They wouldn't put their kids in school. They just kept having more children, getting bigger welfare checks, and they wound up sitting home in the house, watching TV, eating, having kids, drinking, drugging, and there used to be problems in New York when the babies would cry and stuff. What they would do is they would put rum in the baby's formula. Not a lot, maybe a teaspoon or something like that, but the baby's this big, and the baby would drink the bottle with the rum and fall asleep for several hours, and then they'd give the baby a bottle at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and go out all night and party, and the baby'd stay asleep. They would really, what's that do to the baby's brain? And it's stupid. I mean, with the stuff that went on, it's societies that are falling apart are what we've seen. The original United States, the Republic, you couldn't vote unless you owned real estate. You had to have something. You had to have a piece of land or a house or a farm or a ranch or something, or you couldn't vote. So it was not exactly what you see today. In the expire world, there are no good countries. Look at South Africa; they were booming, even in the 1800s, and they stayed out of wars, big wars and stuff like that, and they were treating their poor people horribly. The black people were getting treated awfully. Zimbabwe was sort of like that as well, Kenya, and a lot of these countries. Now Russia's moving into Africa, telling them they'll be free. There's a lot of talk that the problems in Niger, not Nigeria, Niger, Niger, were due to Russia. I would think it's probably true because so many big news outlets are talking like that, and it could be. And Russia's saying he's going to give grain to several countries in Africa for free, and he's trying to take control of several African countries. Well, this answers the question to me of Zechariah 12. Those on the right hand and the left hand get burned up. The left hand is the African countries of Greater Israel, and now Russia's mobilizing some of those that are not in Greater Israel, and some that are, and some that are in part. So I can see them fighting against Israel in the siege of Zechariah 12 as a possible way. It may not prove to be the way, but it could be the way. Niger has a lot of uranium, and Macron of France is peeved. And the theories from people that know more about it than me are that Russia may put several thousand Wagners, that mercenary group, inside Niger to keep the peace, let's say, right? Which means keep Russia with heavy influence and control over the country. And Macron will pop his cork over that. He's already infuriated. He's furious with Netanyahu in Russia over this. So his response would be to send the French Foreign Legion down there. Now, the French Foreign Legion are excellent fighters. They fight. They're motivated. They're warriors. Like they're trained to be warriors, not just to be soldiers. They're soldiers that are not warriors. They're bureaucrats. They work in hospitals. They do food preparation. They paint. They're carpenters. They're mechanics for planes and trucks and tanks. And they drive cars, and they drive delivery trucks, and they work in warehouses. And, then you have the warriors. But most of them are not warriors. In the French Foreign Legion, they're warriors. And the Wagner Group is warriors. So the fight would be pretty heavy. But what it would boil down to is who's got the best military equipment, which would not be Wagner, unless you think Russia's going to be giving it to him, which Russia doesn't even have to start with. So France does have pretty good equipment. So France will be running and dominating that fight. And if it gets out of hand, it could bring NATO in, but Niger is not a NATO country, so bringing it in would be a little bit far-fetched. It would have to involve attacking France somehow on French soil, I believe. I don't know if it would count attacking the French Foreign Legion in another country. Probably not. So that's going on. There's so much trouble in the world right now. Japan and China, big time. Taiwan and China, big time. North Korea and Japan, big time. Of course, South Korea is under threat and duress from China and North Korea. You got Ukraine and Russia, and now Russia's under duress from Ukraine, sending drones into Moscow repeatedly that are successfully attacking buildings. Ukraine and Russia fight is the same thing. It goes this way and this way and this way. They keep killing each other, which is sort of weird. Nobody's coming out ahead on this one. Nor do I think they ever will. That's Chief panting from being hot, but he'll cool off. He's cooling down. He'll cool off in here. It's pretty cool in here. Let's see what's going on in my chat here. Oh, the bot came back. I'll just torment them and keep putting stuff back in the chat. I'll do a little research today about deleting the chats. See what's I can learn about that. I've been putting it off. I should have done that before. What's going on here with my... So as much as they take it down, we can keep putting it back, right? Give it back to them in a way, huh? I don't know why they're so motivated about it, but... let's see what else is cooking here in the news world. China's got real flood problems. Russia's bombing civilians in Galilee, apparently a city or a province or something in Ukraine. A 9-story residential building partly destroyed by a Russian missile strike. 20 victims, 2 died. So yeah, Putin doesn't care about life. I mean, he never did. Yeah, Beijing's got flooding. It reached Beijing, so China's really in a bad way right now with the flooding. Is it going to destroy China? Well, it's going to weaken their already bad economy, very bad economy, extremely bad economy. I don't think it's going to destroy them. I mean, if 20 of their big cities got hit with massive flooding, yeah, it might, but it's not the case. I lost it. Hold on a minute. I got it back. You know, the people are protesting against Hamas in Gaza, and it's pretty bad. And the people are protesting against Syria, and these Syrian forces of Bashar Assad are just shooting them down in the street. So this is a fulfillment of Mark 13:8. It's called, disturbances. It means protests, things like this. I wonder who is helping, if anybody, these protests in Syria and Gaza. Is it the Mossad, the CIA, both of them, others? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. The Fatah supporters now Fatah is another terrorist group, I believe. They are releasing, their supporters are releasing pictures of Hamas people mingled into the protests undercover, so to speak. Probably to take phone pictures of people active in the movement, get their names, infiltrate, try to, get identities of people and stuff like that. It's key to understand Russia is supporting Bashar Assad, who's shooting people down in the street. So, that's Russia. Russia's backing that guy. Doesn't speak much for Russia, does it? There are cops now that are masking themselves and beating people at the protests. They went to the attention of the Supreme Court, and they're going to try to. People are bringing it to the court, and they want a revamping of what you would call internal affairs in the police department. So the investigation of these cops becomes pretty serious. Like, why were you wearing a mask? Why did you hit this guy? Stuff like that. So they're going to start witch hunting the cops that are hitting the protesters, and then that'll stop that. And Ben Gvir is trying to prevent that, but no, it'll happen. It has to happen, or it prevents democracy from operating, so they're going to do it. So the Supreme Court ruled unanimously against the mayoral election law that would have benefited an REA dairy ally. So that law is going bye-bye. So the court's trying to move against the Netanyahu coalition, or they're starting to, so let's see. In refugee camps in Lebanon, the different gang factions are shooting each other and killing each other. The Polish Senate, for whatever that's worth, says that they expect the Wagner Group, which I think you pronounce Wagner in Russian, accumulating forces on the territory of Belarus, are going to launch some sort of terrorist operation into the Suwalki corridor. Yeah, in these camps in southern Lebanon, with okay, hold on a minute. I gotta put the power back in this. I gotta charge this because it's running out of battery. Okay, sorry about that. They killed some leader in one of these refugee camps in southern Lebanon, Fatah's regional national security leader. So I don't think that's going to amount to a lot. I don't think the Wagner Group's going to do much. If they start provoking this 5,000 in Belarus, I think they're predominantly there for defensive purposes because they're pretty good fighters, and 5,000 is an obstacle to overcome. But if they start going to move on Poland or other NATO countries, it'll just be a matter of a few days and they'll be annihilated. That's all. They don't have top-notch equipment like NATO, so they won't last. Like I say, they're just there to buy time for Russia to come in and help Belarus if something goes down, but I don't think so. Chief stopped panting, he cooled off good. Netanyahu is meeting with his defense chiefs, I think, today to discuss some sort of limited fighting in Lebanon that could happen. I don't know. Netanyahu can't possibly manage a war. He's such a jerk. Doesn't know what he's doing. I use the word he loosely. This is an interesting article I picked up. Ukraine is to start consulting with the U.S. this week on providing security guarantees for Kiev pending the completion of the process of joining NATO. a senior Ukrainian official said on Sunday. When I read that, it means that the United States is saying they'll protect Kiev or Ukraine or the capital city against Russia and China and so forth if they join NATO. So that means the United States is counting on Russia not attacking the capital of Ukraine or Ukraine because they joined NATO. But I don't think it's going to deter Russia at all. And I'm not so sure Russia would attack them. I don't think they will right now. But let's keep, we got to wait and see. The Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa has trouble. Instability, armed groups to the tune of 150 different groups, and fighting for resources, and it's going to blow, I think. So they're afraid that the Democratic Republic of Congo is going to shift over to Russia to be free. There is no being free under any of these expire countries. I don't care if they're kings, if they're dictators like Putin, if they're democracies, they're all bad. Italy is threatening to pull from China, with no surprise there. Hooking up with China, he realized that, or she realized, whoever it is not a great idea. The Russian mouthpiece, public spokesperson, she's in the foreign ministry. She's in the top 5 or top 10 of Russia. Oh, I don't know. She's way up there. Maria Zakharova. If you look at pictures of her when she first came on the scene and now, you'll see she's no stranger to this plastic surgery operating room. Russians are giving their lives in Ukraine so that Africans and others can be free. I have no idea what the heck she means by that. That's like a makes no sense comment. How are you going to be free under Putin rule? Apparently 3 civilian ships defied Russia's, saying they would shoot ships down, assuming they were all warships, and nothing happened. They navigated the questionable territory and nothing happened. All right, and take a quick look at other news that might have popped up. I don't think there's much. Let's see. Refresh. That didn't work. That worked. Police are lying. Were caught lying about water cannons. They were saying they only use the water cannons on the people at distance. And there's the journalists that got hit with water cannons that presented photographic evidence of it being used on close distances, and that is more grounds for the Supreme Court and the Attorney General to get into this. You see, Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich want the protesters rough-handled, so they stop protesting. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. So the Supreme Court, we hope, will stop them from doing it. We'll see. Let's see if anything else is going on. Not much. I'm checking to see if anything's really going on in Israel. The IDF went into Jenin and arrested 12. That's in the West Bank. And that creates more tensions. Yeah, Chief's nice and comfortable now. Netanyahu rebuffs international criticism of overhaul. We'll make our own decisions. Well, that is probably going to get the Biden administration and several other countries to consider taking action of some sort against Netanyahu. I'm most certain of that. Exactly what they'll do and if they'll do, I don't know. Of course, their first line of defense will be political, trying to get a vote of no confidence and get rid of him. Well, let's see if that works. It may not. Well, hang on a minute. Well, my battery charge is easy. I just took the charger from this iPad and put it in the other one. I could stay on for a whole day, I think. Somebody wrote me about them scrubbing, taking entries in the chat off. And yeah, I got the entries listed back in, and they're still up. These idiots try to do it. One came in and was cursing us in English years ago. I think one of the Churchianity ministries hired this guy who was coming in and cursing individuals and people and making the chat disgusting to try to get me to close the chat. That's the end game here, is I just close the chat and that's it. Then I got to open it again, and they never know when it's open or not. They got to monitor the chat, and it drags them down. But anyway, I didn't close the chat. I got about 3,000 some odd word files of words to block from the chat, and I blocked it. So any of the bad curse words he could dream up were blocked. So then he started cursing us in Hebrew. And I made fun of him. I said, they don't speak Hebrew. Go ahead, curse on. It doesn't matter. They're not smart, you know. And you couldn't block him. He had some way of concealing his identity where he could post in the chat, but the name that showed wasn't a real name. So when you went to block him, you were blocking that name. And then eventually YouTube figured it out, and they probably found a way to block him, and you know, they got rid of him, his IP address or whatever. He got, you know. So the word filter has proved very valuable over the years, and occasionally you see an S-bot come in and say, my posts are being deleted. Well, I know why they're being deleted. You're putting in curse. You're cursing us, that's why. So they try to trick me into fixing it, you know. I said, no, I'm not doing anything to you. It's the word filter. Use different words. Of course, they can't, because I think there's about 3,300 words that are blocked. Anything you could dream up is blocked in English. Now, if they want to go in and curse us in Finnish or something like that, what I normally do is if the language is being put up in a foreign language, I just delete it, because typically that's what they're doing, is they're trying to curse us. So I just delete it. We don't speak Finnish or Japanese, or, you know, so what's the point of having it up anyway? So that's pretty much what I got for now. So we're still seeing the world decay into war. There's going to be huge wars. It's just keeps slipping into the abyss according to Jehovah's timing, and it's coming, you know. And the end of this democracy is coming. Netanyahu is doing us the favor of ending the democracy. He's helping out a lot, and you don't know he's helping. And you know, with the spiritual warfare camp meetings in the guest house, let me know if there's going to be any response to that. I don't know. And if anybody got other ideas about how to do this, let me know. But I think we need to surpass or go beyond virtual. We need to be physically together. And there's no place like being in the land, because where does he say he'll accept you? In Israel. So there's nothing that I could say that would beat that. That would be the highest probability of us getting the most power out of our spiritual warfare, and getting our prayers answered, and signs and wonders following the word. So that's the best I got. That's my best shot. It's up to you guys. And some of you really don't have the funds. I know that. And I don't know what else I could tell you. But pray about it. And I have no idea what date to do this. I mean, we could do it pretty much any time, but you know, you got to give people some time to get the airline tickets. Otherwise, the price of the tickets could be insanely expensive. you know. So I don't want, you know, I mean, you want to buy a ticket for tomorrow, it might be dirt cheap, or it might be $3,000, I don't know. So we gotta take that into account, okay? Now, those of you in Europe, it's gonna be pretty cheap. You can get flights from like Poland, Romania, countries over there for like 300 round trip and stuff like that. Pretty cheap. And in the winter, you'll get flights from Europe to Eilat pretty cheap. And then from there, a taxi would be prohibitive. A car rental would be fine. Or you'd have to get on the bus and go to a bigger city, like try to figure out how to navigate the buses. So that could be difficult. But they probably have express buses to big cities near here. I don't know. Anyway, of course, that bridge, when we come to it, there's no point in flying into a lot in the summer. They're not really running flights there. They come to Tel Aviv. And in the middle of the night, you know, like at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, 11 p.m., you know, it's going to take an hour and a half to get here from the airport. Maybe an hour and 20 minutes even. But in the daylight hours or the early evening, it's going to be 2.5 to 3 hours. So you got to take that into account if you're going to fly in and then just get off of, you know, 11 or 12 or 13 hours of plane travel and then get in the car and drive. You know, you got to make sure you know your own limits with that. And you could always get a hotel in Tel Aviv near the airport, or an airport area hotel, and then come up the next day. That's also something you could do. Now, why do I say come for a week? Because I believe we would grow during that week, all of us, self-included. And your jet lag from the Europeans is going to be nothing to a day. Maybe 2 days at the worst, you know. But for the other people, it's going to probably be 3 days. So you're going to be able to function, but not that many hours in the day. The way to plod through it is there are people sell over-the-counter jet lag remedies. I don't know how they work. I mean, people say that. I don't know. The way that I think the best way to do it is to force yourself onto the Israeli time when you're here, and force yourself to stay up and then go to sleep at night, and then you adjust pretty good quickly. We have had people stay here who put themselves on Israeli time before they leave. And that should mitigate I mean, if you do it for 4 or 5 days, or at least 3, it should mitigate the challenges of jet lag, I think, but it's not gonna I was thinking it was a jet, it's not gonna eliminate the adjustment to the time zones, because while you put yourself on a different time clock, still the day and night is gonna be weird. So when you get over here, your body's gonna react to the sunlight and the nighttime, and that is gonna be different. So I don't really know if it's worth doing it. I really don't know. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional. I can't give advice. I don't know. I'm just saying people do it. I don't know. But I know from the United States and Canada, typically it's a 3-day process till you shake it. Okay? That's normally what it is. Now, if you're coming from the West Coast, you'll have it harder than people from the East Coast, because it's a difference of 3 hours. So people from the East Coast may shake it in 2 days or something. I don't know. Anyway, people from England should have no trouble. People from most of Europe are going to be within 2 hours of the time, or 3 at the worst. So they're not going to have much trouble with the jet lag. A day, maybe, something like I mean, when you go to New York to California, you have a little bit of trouble with jet lag for a day, maybe a second day, but it's minor. Okay. Okay. Please pray for me and my wife, Rivka. She's getting much better. We were praying for her sinuses. And keep the spiritual warfare going for the people that are trying to work plots against me and my wife and make us unhappy. And other kinds of plots. Pray for our animals and pets that they be happy, healthy, and whole and not run away. And pray for our finances, which could use some prayer. And pray for our ministry and this new thing I'm trying. This could be really super powerful if we pull this off. And you know, I could handle 4 in the guest house if you could share the beds. But there, like I say, we got people nearby, and I do have 1 cot, and if there's no real, I could make it even 5, I guess. But it might get cluttered in the living room and embarrassing and stuff like that. And I'm just not comfortable putting people here in tents. It's not a way to go, you know. But you can pray about it. If you think I should, then pray about it, you know. If you think that it should be longer than a week, well, now we're getting into tourism, I think. And, you know, if some of you wanted to stay here longer than a week, we could talk about how that worked. If we can do that, I don't know, you know. And I could also run many of these. I don't have to run just one. I could run many. And I'm thinking, I could be wrong, that this would be, because it's in Israel and all that, be a life-changing episode, you know. It's not going to be, this is the Wailing Wall, this is the Pool of Siloam. It's going to be spiritual warfare, you know, and praying in the spirit, praying in the flesh, in the natural, whatever, and some Bible study, and really kicking it and trying to turn the world right side up. Well, we're not Yeshua, we're not Jehovah, but we have been given, these signs shall follow those that believe in my name, they shall cast out devils. And then in Luke 10 it says, you have the power to tread it, you shall tread over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm you. So we're going to tread over the power of the enemy. So we're doing what we have scripture support. We're going to pull down the strongholds. Okay? We're going to bind the strong man, and we're going to do it in unity together. And this is going to be the most powerful thing, I think, you know, the big ass and his gang have ever seen in about 2,000 years. And I can't tell you how happy that would make me. All right. That's what I got. And so pray for better videos and pray about this thing I'm doing. It needs prayer. And let's see how Chiefy is. Oh, he's hiding somewhere. He went under the furniture. Okay. Like a cat. I'm out. Thanks, guys. Thank you for the offerings, too.